It's March, and that means madness. The women's basketball team was in the NCAA Tournament for the third straight year. Were they able to continue their winning ways on the nation's biggest stage?
Meanwhile, the NCAA selection show was this Saturday. See where the men's ice hockey team was placed and seeded coming up. This is Sports Paws.
Welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Kevin Higgins.
And I'm Aaron Robinson. Kevin, I've been on my couch watching basketball for the past 4 days, along with most of America, so I figure it's only right to kick it off with some hoops.
Well, despite my many busted brackets this weekend, I could not agree more. Trisha Fabry's squad looked to put their name back on the national map this weekend in their NCAA Round of 64 matchup against Macy Miller and the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. As you can see, this game was billed as a showdown between two of the best mid-major teams in the country. The Bobcats and Jackrabbits came in with identical records of 26-6. They each dominated their respective conferences in the MAC and the Summit League, and both ranked within the top 40 in the nation in RPI. With that in mind, we were set up for a good one on Saturday.
Despite 25 points and 9 rebounds from senior Jen Fay, Quinnipiac could not keep up with South Dakota State, who posted one of the nation's highest scoring offenses, averaging upwards of 80 points per game. Macy Miller of South Dakota State had a phenomenal performance with 28 points and 11 rebounds to lead the Jackrabbits into the second round where they would face Syracuse. The loss marked the end of the road for seniors Jen Fay, Erin McClure, Brittany Martin, Paula Strautmont, and Edel Thornton. This senior class is definitely at the top of the totem pole when it comes to senior classes to come through Quinnipiac. See what they, along with Trisha Fabry, had to say following their season-ending loss.
End of an era for an incredible senior class. Unfortunately, I'm saying this too soon, the best senior class to come through Quinnipiac Bobcat in history. So it's a bittersweet moment for me right now.
It hasn't really settled in yet. We're still obviously wanted to, get this game today, but obviously we know we've done some great things here, and hopefully, just pass the torch to the younger players on the team to keep it going.
It was a bit emotional at the end because, it's your last time with this team to check out and be wearing this uniform as a official player.
They're outstanding young ladies, and I look forward to sharing what's coming next for both of us, even though it's not on the court. The compete level has been second to none in one of our pillars of how we have built a program. But really just their teammates, how they care for the person next to them, and their humility. They are fantastic young women who's going to stay in coaching, who goes on into their engineering field, and where they go as community leaders. So they are just exceptional young women, well-rounded. Basketball has been an important piece to who they are, and what they have done for this university nationally to bring the recognition in such a classy way has made me very proud.
With the book officially closed on the 2018-19 season, we turn to our Q30 beat reporters Shane Dennehy and Josh Silverman for one final time. Take it away, guys.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're trying to get them back later. But as for now, the aforementioned South Dakota State Jackrabbits took on the Syracuse Orange, and they were able to defeat them by a score of 75-64, where they will be able to advance to the Sweet 16 and play Oregon. As for the rest of the bracket, you have Mississippi State, who will be taking on Arizona State, and, like I said, Oregon and South Dakota State. Play will resume this weekend with a spot in the Elite Eight and the Final Four on the line.
And with that, we're going to head to our first media timeout of the night. When we come back, the NCAA tournament might be done for women's basketball, but men's hockey just found out where they're headed for the NCAAs this weekend.
Also, the men's lacrosse team is kicking off their spring season with 2 home games. Stick around to see how they fared.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. As we mentioned before break, the last NCAA hope remaining for Quinnipiac winter sports is the men's hockey team. In yesterday's bracket reveal, the Bobcats found out that they were the number 2 seed in the Midwest region and 7th overall seed in the tournament. As a result, Rand Pecknold and the boys will take the trip to Allentown, Pennsylvania, where they will square off against 3rd-seeded Arizona State on Saturday. Here's the tale of the tape between the Bobcats and the Sun Devils. Each team reached the 20-win mark and averaged over 3 goals a game. However, Quinnipiac's power play has a heavy advantage. Their attack with the extra man operates more than 10% better than Arizona State's, and the return of captain Chase Prisky from his 2-game suspension makes it even more dangerous.
One thing that will bode well for the Bobcats is that they have Andrew Shortridge, and Arizona State does not. Shortridge won the ECAC Hockey Goaltender of the Year award, as he was not only the best goaltender in the ECAC, but one of the best goaltenders in the entire country this season. Shortridge has a nation-leading 1.51 goals allowed average and a .941 save percentage, both of which are set to be program records at the end of the season, barring catastrophe. He also boasts a .71 win percentage, which is good for 7th in the nation. But how far will Shortridge be able to take these Bobcats? Let's go to our Twitter poll and see what you guys think. 38% of the audience says that Quinnipiac will win 1 game in the NCAA tournament. 33%, about 1/3, says that Quinnipiac will win 2 games and then find itself back in the Frozen Four. And 15% of viewers believe that this team will lose its opening round game, while 14% believe that national championship trophy is coming back to Hamden for the first time.
And Aaron, we are in for a treat tonight as we have been graced by the presence of men's hockey beat reporter Jonathan Banks. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing better now, Kevin, with that really nice intro. I was happy to get on with you guys, but now I'm even happier that you appreciate me here.
Always. So, Jonathan, the Bobcats obviously took a bit of a tumble towards the end of the season and the playoffs. With that being said, was this the best possible tournament draw the team could have gotten?
I think when you look at it in terms of all the three-season tournament, I think it definitely is the best matchup for Quinnipiac. When you think about Arizona State, this is the 4th year they've been a Division I program. That's just actually crazy to think about. They were a club team 4 years ago, and Arizona State's also an independent, so they don't have a conference. So they're the first team to qualify for the NCAA tournament since 1991-92. That was Alaska Anchorage. It's their first NCAA tournament appearance. Quinnipiac has experience. Chase Prisky and the other seniors have played in the national championship in 2016. Arizona State hasn't played since March 2nd. It's an interesting concept because Quinnipiac, they just lost to number 8 Brown as the top seed in the ACAC hockey quarterfinals, but Arizona State hasn't played until March 2nd, so that'll be really interesting, and it's really the best possible 3 seed they could face when you break down the numbers.
Absolutely. So what do you think the main thing that Arizona State will have to do in order to pull off the upset and beat Quinnipiac?
I think mainly it's depth scoring because Arizona State, they have Johnny Walker, the Phoenix, Arizona native. He has the most goals in the nation with 23, but when you look at the rest of the Sun Devils offense, only 2 other players are in double digits in goals. Quinnipiac has 6 double-digit scorers. That's Chase Prisky, Odin Tufta, Wypon Giovanni, Alex Ray, Craig Miller, and Ethan DeYoung. All the players that we've heard this season are really putting on a show for the Bobcats. Prisky's going to be back in the mix from a 2-game suspension. The team will be able to control the puck more, create more chances. And that's not to say Johnny Walker won't have his fun, but if Andrew Shortridge has a big game, I'm going to get to him in a little bit. But if Quinnipiac scores, Johnny Walker needs to score and really put the team on his back. And if he doesn't do that, the Bobcats have a great chance to advance to the regional final.
Now, there's no shortage of star power in this Saturday showdown as some top scorers and elite goalies, like you alluded to, will square off. With that being said, what do you think is the player matchup to watch?
I think it's the 2 netminders, Andrew Shortridge and Joey DeCord. I don't want to take away all of Shortridge's stats because Aaron kind of just said everything that I had in his previous reader. But back to Joey DeCord, he's tied for the most shutouts in the country, 2nd in wins, top 10 in save percentage. Him and Andrew Shortridge were both nominated for the Mike Richter Award given to the best goaltender in the entire nation. Shortridge, like Aaron said, ECAC Hockey Goaltender of the Year. We know what he's capable of. Goaltenders have the ability to steal games, especially in the playoffs. We saw that here in Hamden as the #1 team in the country at the time. The UMass Minutemen came in, and Andrew Shortridge played the best game I've ever seen a goaltender play in person, stood on his head for that 32-save shutout to beat them 4-0. Shortridge can really steal a game for this Bobcats team. He might not even need to steal a game for the team, as you'll see some of Shortridge's ridiculous saves coming up on the highlight tape there. DeCord and Shortridge are both some of the best goaltenders in the nation, so it's really going to come down to who makes the big save when, and with Quinnipiac's high-octane offense and Johnny Walker on the other side, who has the most goals per game in the entire nation, it'll come down to the 2 guys in between the posts.
All right, Banks, it's time for the $1 million question. In your opinion, how far will Quinnipiac go in this tournament?
Aaron, I'm taking your $1 million question. I'm kind of breaking it down 2 ways just to be safe. So Quinnipiac, they're the #3 seed. They take on Arizona State, as we know. If Minnesota, Duluth, and Bowling Green, they're playing in the other bracket, I think Quinnipiac, first of all, I think they beat Arizona State. I'm thinking of a 4-2 game. I think Arizona State not playing since March 2nd is really detrimental to them. They also went on a 2-game slide to the Minnesota Golden Gophers coming into that, so I'm not sure how their confidence level is. Besides, I think Quinnipiac is the better hockey team. I think they defeat Arizona State. I think if they play Minnesota, Duluth, who, bear in mind, are the defending national champions, I don't know if they can get past Minnesota, so I'll say they'll lose to Minnesota. However, if Bowling Green defeats Minnesota Duluth, I think we'll see the Quinnipiac Bobcats in Buffalo.
Well, Jonathan, safe travels down to Allentown this weekend, and we can't wait to see your great coverage as usual.
All right. Enough talking about what's happening on the ice. I am done with winter. Let's talk some spring sports, specifically men's lacrosse. Men's lacrosse hosted the Hartford Hawks on Tuesday, and they did not disappoint. In a thrilling 17-16 overtime win, the Bobcats defeated the Hawks, paced by Foster Cuomo's program record-tying 10-point game. Cuomo tallied 7 goals and 3 assists for the Bobcats, who were able to pick up their 4th consecutive win on the day.
The Bobcats got a few days to rest after that enthralling win, and they continued their winning ways against St. Bonaventures on Saturday with a 12-7 victory. Foster Cuomo put together a hat trick, and Will Abbott, Jake Tomsick, and Mike Fletcher all added 2 goals apiece en route to a 5th straight dub. Following the successful week, 2 Bobcats earned some hardware based off of their performances. Foster Cuomo won MAC Offensive Player of the Week, and Nick DiMuccio was awarded MAC Rookie of the Week. Cuomo went off for Quinnipiac in its 2 games as he racked up 10 goals and 14 points over that span. As for DiMuccio, he made 26 saves in net for Quinnipiac this week, including a season-high 18 stops in that Hartford win.
Whew, we are absolutely flying. It's time for our last media time out of the day. Kevin and I will take a breather, but don't you go anywhere. We're heading out to the Diamond on the other side of this break.
That's right, Aaron, and we have a special top 5 plays for you this week. It's the best of winter sports. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. As I promised you, we'll be talking to baseball when we return, and I'm a man of my word. So here we go, to the Diamond. The baseball squad took a trip down Whitney Avenue to face the Yale Bulldogs on Wednesday. Unfortunately, they were not welcomed warmly, as the Bulldogs jumped out on the Bobcats early, scoring 11 runs in the first 3 innings. Quinnipiac would score 2 runs in the 8th inning off a triple from Andre Marrero, but it would not be enough as the Bobcats fell 11-2.
Now, after the Yale loss, they had a 3-game series over the weekend against St. Peter's, and the first game on Saturday they won 13-0. And with that win, Quinnipiac head coach John Delaney picked up his 100th career win. Delaney, in his 5th season with the program, has helped elevate the team to new heights during his time behind the bench. He won MAC Coach of the Year last season after coaching his team to a record 16 MAC wins, and he also coached the Bobcats to a school record-tying 29 wins in 2015. So, after that win on Saturday, they took a doubleheader on Sunday afternoon against St. Peter's, and one player to watch in this one was Andre Marrero. Marrero, batting .318 on the season, was in for a monster day in this one as he clubbed 2 home runs and got an outfield assist en route to a crucial 5-4 victory. Marrero's first home run came in the first inning as Quinnipiac was able to jump out to an early 2-0 lead, and then as St. Peter's later on in the game rallied to tie it, Marrero was able to get an outfield assist to home plate and get the runner out. With the game tied at 3, Marrero then launched another 2-run shot to make it a 5-3 ball game, and despite another run scored by St. Peter's towards the end, Quinnipiac was able to hold on for a 5-4 victory. So, to recap the action of our nation's pastime over the weekend, myself and Jacob Resnick were able to put together a rebound for Q30 Sports. Here it is. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebound presented by Q30 Sports. I'm Kevin Higgins. This is Jacob Resnick, and we're here at Quinnipiac Baseball Field in Hamden, Connecticut, where the Quinnipiac Bobcats completed their weekend sweep of the St. Peter's Peacocks, sweeping the doubleheader today by scores of 5-4 and 2-0. And Jacob, it was a little cold out today, but Andre Marrero was red hot.
Yeah, it was Dre's day. That's what Coach John Delaney said after the game. 2 home runs in the first game, and then the game-winning RBI in the bottom of the 8th inning in game number 2. Also threw out the would-be go-ahead run in the first game at the plate from left field. So it was a big day for Andre Marrero, and I think that really speaks to this team that they have a lot of different guys that can step up when needed, and today was Andre.
And now with these 3 wins over the weekend, now 3-0 in MAC play, what do the Bobcats have to do moving forward to sustain the success?
Well, I think the pitching's just got to be top-notch, and they really got 2 great efforts today from both Arthur Carrera and Christian Nicolosi. Carrera cruised through the first 4 and 2/3 in the first game. Nicolosi 5 scoreless in game number 2. So as long as they've got those secondary guys in the rotation working to supplement number 1 starter Tyler Poulin, I think this team is going to do big things.
So there you have it, folks. Clutch hitting and good pitching carry the Bobcats to 3 wins over the weekend. Again, by scores today of 5-4 and 2-0 in the doubleheader sweep of St. Peter's. For Jacob Resnick, I'm Kevin Higgins. This has been The Rebound by Q30 Sports.
From one spring sport to another, the women's lacrosse team also faced off against a MAC opponent this weekend. The women's lacrosse team took a trip to Poughkeepsie, New York, where they faced off against the Marist Red Foxes. Quinnipiac trailed by 1 at the half, by a score of 4-3, but then found themselves trailing by 4 goals late in the contest. The Bobcats' offense began to surge, scoring 3 goals in the final 6 minutes. Victoria Babinski, Sophie Spencer, and Gabby Beckett all scored to pull the Bobcats within 1 goal. But it was too little too late as Quinnipiac fell to Marist by a score of 10-9. Softball was also in action this week, taking the trip down I-91 to New London to face Central Connecticut State on Wednesday. Quinnipiac dropped the first game of the doubleheader, being shut out 3-0, but then bounced back in Game 2, scoring 2 runs in the 5th inning to defeat Central Connecticut 5-4. The team will be in action again as they host Browns from Hamden on Tuesday, looking to pick up another victory.
And we have some great news for you now. The technical difficulties have been restored, and Josh Silverman and Shane Dennehy are here for their expert analysis.
Dennehy, we're at the bank now, but this weekend we were up in Syracuse covering the women's basketball, the first round of the tournament where Quinnipiac faced off against South Dakota State. They ultimately lost that game. Shane, what went wrong for Quinnipiac?
Honestly, Josh, I just think it was just South Dakota State being the better team. I think they executed more, and honestly, they got the stops that they needed in crunch time, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. Can you get stops when the other team is making runs? And that's what South Dakota State was able to do near the end of the game when Quinnipiac was surging, getting that lead down to 3 points. And fortunately enough for them, Aaron McClure and Jen Fay were also in foul trouble and ultimately did foul out. So with Quinnipiac without 2 of their best players, that ultimately did work in their favor as well.
Now, Quinnipiac has faced a lot of tough opponents in the NCAA tournament. They faced South Carolina 2 years ago, who ultimately went on to win the entire tournament. They faced UConn, but in terms of just a first-round opponent, is South Dakota State the hardest opponent they faced in the first round?
I think over their last 3 years, I would honestly say that South Dakota State is probably their toughest opponent they played. I think Marquette a few years ago, Caroline Krieger, their head coach, said that they're not going to overlook Quinnipiac, but ultimately I think that they did, and they weren't prepared for what Quinnipiac was coming with, a lot of fight and hunger, and then with Quinnipiac playing Miami as well after the Marquette win and then getting Miami again in the first round up in Stores last year, I think being familiar with the opponent also put a lot of pressure on Miami, knowing that, oh my God, this team upset us last year and we can't let that happen again, but that ultimately did. So I think that with South Dakota State being a new opponent and not really knowing what to expect against them, I think that really made them a really tough challenge for them.
And now, Shane, our seats on press row were directly across from the Quinnipiac bench, where we saw the 5 seniors check out of the game for the last time, 2 of which fouled out. So their checkout, their final moment wasn't as, the spotlight wasn't on them like it was to other players. But what was it like to watch that moment?
Honestly, and just, with us being seniors, it's like that crowning moment. It's, it's the end of your career here at Quinnipiac. It's their final 4 years. So it's just such a special part of, I think college basketball. It's so special to see these seniors come out and get that recognition that they deserve in those 4 hard years that they've put in, with Jen Fay's case 5 years. So, it's just something that every senior that plays college basketball deserves, going to hug your coaches, your teammates. It's a special thing.
Now, these 5 seniors are Brittany Martin, Jen Fay, Aaron McClure, Paula Starbonnet, and Edel Thornton have accomplished so much here at Quinnipiac. Shane, what do you think their legacy will be?
I mean, obviously, just behind us, you can see all the banners and what they've been able to accomplish. It's just unreal. They've put this program on the map. It's been so much success, and to look back on it, it's been an incredible run for this senior class, and building this program, going to the Sweet 16, it really is incredible. And you look at how they've been able to accomplish it. I mean, there's been a lot of bumps in the road. I mean, you even look last year when they were a 9 seed, they lost Sarah Shu and Vanessa Udoji, 2 key parts, and then a few years ago Maria Napolitano got hurt, or else it probably would have been 4 straight trips to the NCAA tournament after winning the MAC. So they've experienced a lot of heartbreak, Kiara Bikini going out. So they've been able to overcome so much just because of how much depth and talent they really have on this roster, and it's really impressive what they've been able to do.
Well, thank you, Shane. That's it from us up here. Back to you guys at the desk.
As part of the volleyball coaching overhaul this offseason, Quinnipiac announced the hire of Gary Matthews as an assistant coach. Matthews moved up the ranks in USA Volleyball from 2005 to 2017. Additionally, he assisted at the University of Tulsa from 1997 to 2005. He will join new head coach Kyle Robinson this year in Hampton. Do you hate being warm? Wish hypothermia was an option every time you stepped outside? Does the thought of not wearing 4 layers of clothing each day keep you up at night? No worries. We have a special edition of Top 5 Plays just for you. Here are the best from the winter sports season that was.
All right, Kevin, let's do it. We're taking you to number 5. We have Quinnipiac women's basketball on the road at Harvard. And this one, I remember this shot here. Jenny McBucket goes, Paul Pierce, I call a game. And it's over. Quinnipiac wins 72-67 in overtime. That was a crazy game, man.
It sure was. And for play number 4, it's Cam Young against Maris. Looked pretty routine. What? And he does the spin move, and you know he's going to drain that 3. He wouldn't show it if he didn't. So a monster 3 there for Cam Young.
And number 3, we're going down to Florida as Quinnipiac is taking on the 10th-ranked team, Texas. Mackenzie Dewey throws it over her head to Jaden Warren, and she finishes the layup. Let's see this one more time. We got a missed 3-pointer. The ball seems to be going out of bounds, but excuse me, to Jaden Ward. That looks familiar. I know where she got that from. And the 2 points is good for Quinnipiac.
And now play number 2, men's ice hockey against Harvard. Andrew Shortridge has 3 words. Smell the glove. Unbelievable save right there, albeit in a 2-1 loss, but quite the play.
Alrighty, and the number 1 play of the winter. You can play at 2 on Sports Center. Oh my God, Chase Prisky, excuse me, don't mind me. Buckets into the back of the net. Oh my God, Prisky dangles right past the Clarkson goalie for the finish. Wow, that was amazing. And then the Selly.
Chase Prisky, mayor of Dangle City, I heard. Now we have a look at the game slate for the upcoming weekend in Quinnipiac athletics here, rather. Men's lacrosse on Saturday at 3 o'clock against Siena, and men's baseball on Saturday at 3 o'clock against Niagara.
Also have softball taking on Brown tomorrow from Hampton at 2 p.m. and women's lacrosse on Wednesday home at Fairfield at 3 p.m. Also, the men's hockey team will be in action this weekend at Arizona State in the NCAA Tournament, so do not miss the action.
Another action-packed weekend, right?
Absolutely.
And just like winter, our time is up. Aaron, it was a pleasure being with you on the desk tonight.
Kevin, the pleasure is all mine. Until next time, stay frosty, my friends. Be sure to check out all of our content online at Q30 TV, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports.
Have a good night.